Hi, I'm Davis without Andy, and welcome to another edition of Game Grazers Discuss. And joining me tonight is DigitalDrew92. Hey, Drew.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing swell. How are you?
Excellent. So you've got a question for me today?
I do. So, what are your thoughts on video games turned into movies?
Oh, you mean besides the fact they're all terrible?
Yeah. Besides that fact.
I mean, I guess that, you know, my phone's over here. Why every time my phone beeps. Anyway, so, I guess kind of the impetus there, I guess, is the upcoming Warcraft movie, I would assume.
Yeah, that's that, and then there's the Ratchet and Clank movie.
Oh,
and
right.
the Sly Cooper movie.
Right.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about those two because they're animated. I mean, obviously, like, I remember going to the movie theater and watching Super Mario Brothers. And I forget, I was like probably like 10 or 11, and it's a bad movie, I don't think there's any doubt, but at least it's a fun bad movie to watch. And I think, like, looking at stuff like the Mortal Kombat movie was really good too, but it's just so many of them are terrible. And
yeah, it almost... Oh.
No, go ahead.
It almost seems like when they, like, in the late 80s, the early 90s when they were made, it was that cheesy fun, and now it's just become the whole bad, not fun.
Yeah. I mean, I guess overall, my thoughts are like, I think the problem's been that people who didn't have an understanding of games or why they were popular were making movies. I mean, I think you can kind of throw Uwe Boll movies out the window just because the dude was just basically running a tax racket to make money. He didn't care about the caliber of his films. But, you know...
And you can tell.
Yeah. It's, oh, God. I think I've seen, like, 5 minutes of Blood Rain, and it was like, I think I wanted to, like, rip off my ears and gnaw out my eyes with my own teeth. It was just terrible. And Ben Kingsley...
that's everybody's...
Kingsley's in it, of all people. It's like, what? That's crazy.
I don't know how he wrangled him into that, but it must have been lots of money or something.
It must have been. But I guess overall, I think we're kind of reaching a point where people who grew up playing games are now going to be the people now making movies, you know? It's sort of like you look at the folks who are running Doctor Who, they're the people who grew up on Doctor Who now, kind of thing. And so they kind of have this love of what came before, and they have the ability to sort of make it something interesting. And so I look Go ahead.
I was just going to say, so you think maybe there's going to be a turning point of now there will be an actual almost a more respect for the game going into the movie, and then they'll just become slowly, or maybe even just leaps and bounds better than the old ones?
I think so. I mean, I guess kind of a good example, I'm trying to think of a good example of what to relate it to besides Doctor Who. I guess comic book movies are the best analogy I can make. Like, think about what comic book movies were like, sort of like before the first X-Men or before the first SpiderMan. They were just terrible. They were horrible. But then you eventually got the companies who were involved in creating those things actively involved in the process, or you got people who were lovers of that medium and knew what those stories were, who those characters were, and they had a respect for them. And I think that's starting to happen with video games. I mean, if I look at Warcraft and Ratchet and Clank and Sly Cooper, and all those movies look amazing. They look great. Because I think they know, these are people who know how to make movies, but they can turn the basic elements of a video game story and turn it into something interesting to watch on film.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Well, hopefully, you know, that's right, and these movies don't just bomb and are awful. We have our fingers crossed.
I mean, I certainly have my fingers crossed. I think there is a revolution coming in video game movies, but I think it's still going to take a while to get there. I mean, we had to go through Black Leather X-Men before we got to, you know, Red and Blue Spider-Man first. And I think these next three big ones are definitely going to be a major turning point for video game movies as a whole. And having seen where we were in the past, like you look at things like Street Fighter, it's like, oh my God, what the hell?
Yeah, and even the second Street Fighter movie, the Legend.
There was a second one? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, The Legend of Chun-Li, I believe it's called.
Right.
That one was, I'd hazard a guess, even worse than the original one. But, like, and I just remembered that there's a new Assassin's Creed movie coming out as well.
Right.
With Fassbender. So, I feel like we're amping up to something big, and hopefully they just don't F it up.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I'm looking for.
Well, back to the comics analogy. I guess I think Ubisoft has direct involvement in the Assassin's Creed movie, the same way that Marvel has direct involvement in their films, or slightly less so. I think it'll be more like the new SpiderMan setup, where Marvel's kind of there as a consulting basis, like, well, these are the things you need to do to make this, right.
Yes, so. And hopefully that little bit of guidance is enough to make people who haven't played the game but see the movie want to play the game, and who've played the game and see the movie say, yeah, that's pretty close, or yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's because I remember watching Prince of Persia with Jake Gyllenhaal, and it was not a good movie, but I'm like, well, they got like 59% of what Prince of Persia was, which was a step up in my opinion. That was better than most game movies. I got like maybe like 20 to 30% of it right. It's like, look, we have a character named Mario and Luigi and Koopa, and isn't that what you wanted?
The names are the same. Everything else is different. This is what you asked for.
Well, thank you for joining me on Game Grazers Discuss this week, Drew.
No problem. It was a pleasure.
Ah, yes. So we would love to hear your opinions on this question. What do you think about video game movies? Are we at a turning point, or are they just going to continue to be terrible? Please let us know in comments or on Twitter, or however you would like to get in touch with us. And if you have a question of your own that you would like to ask us, please feel free, once again, submit it on comments, Twitter, or wherever. And we will catch you next time. Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.